Maybe it's the effect of the mountains. I've recently met some remarkably individual Swiss people from the world of flying. One who builds rather good, fully enclosed cabin motorcycles, useful in this weather. Another who straps a wing and jet engines onto his back and leaps out of planes like this one. Pilatus, the Swiss manufacturer of the PC-6, has for more than 75 years been building aircraft ideally suited to their locale. I've looked at rugged, go-anywhere planes before. The Hawker Beechcraft King Air was one. This, though, might just be in a different field. I don't think even its designer, when he penned this plane more than half a century ago, would have said that the Pilatus Porter is a pretty aircraft. The PC-6 started without this long snout, though. The first examples had piston engines. When more powerful turbine engines were fitted in 1961, they were lighter, which meant extending the nose to keep the centre of gravity in the right place. So it's not pretty, but it's most definitely functional. The fixed undercarriage, with its huge tyres fit for landing on gravel, is built to take punishment. The aircraft has retained its tail dragger arrangement because nose wheels, while making for better handling on hard runways, are vulnerable on rough strips. This 1.8 million Swiss franc aircraft is good not only at getting into rough runways, but also short ones. The Porter has been landed within the width of a football pitch, but at sea level, where the air is most dense, even at maximum weight it can leave the ground within 650 feet and be at treetop height before it's gone 1,500 feet. It's not that fast. A cruise speed of 119 knots is slower than many helicopters, but it can go a long way. The range is 870 nautical miles, with the underwing fuel tanks. When you're flying over the mountains, with very few safe places to land, or fast-changing weather that can prevent you getting into your planned destination, that extra range is reassuring. But for further flexibility, the Porter can also be fitted with skis or floats. It's a physically demanding aircraft to fly, but one that responds well to precise operation of the heavy controls. Landing distances are much shorter than those needed for takeoff, by about a third. The big wings work well even at high elevations, and the Porter holds the record for the highest successful, intentional landing by a plane, at nearly 19,000 feet in Nepal. As a comparison, the King Air I flew recently needs about 2,500 feet in which to land in normal conditions. The PC-6 needs less than half of that, maximum. The plane does have a reputation for being difficult to land, but my very first attempt worked out pretty well. There's plenty of room in here. It can carry 10 people on seats, or many more refugees. These big doors also mean that it can carry a lot of cargo, nearly 1.5 tons with the main tanks filled. And that's where this aircraft really excels, getting supplies into remote areas, or stretcher cases out. And for when the terrain is too tricky for even this aircraft to land, some have a hatch that can be opened in flight to drop stores. Which makes this the closest thing to a bomber I've ever been handed the keys to. Pilatus is strong on practical touches. Its bigger PC-12 turboprop is pretty well the only executive aircraft you can load a motorcycle into without having to dismantle it first. I like that. The Porter takes practicality and utility to a different level though. It allows me to consider landing areas that would look tight even if I were flying a helicopter, but at a fraction of the cost. That's the sort of capability that has kept the Pilatus Porter employed in tough and remote locations, such as Papua New Guinea mining sites, since 1959. It also works well as the aerial equivalent of a souped-up, high-performance off-road car, among all the other quirky curiosities, in its native Switzerland. I'm Rohit Jaggi of the Financial Times.